Hey everybody, welcome back to the Gamers Lounge podcast. My name is John Meadows. With me as always is Eric, Nathaniel, and Dennis. What's going on, everyone?
Hello,
Video
hello.
game podcasting is what's
Hey.
going on.
Yeah, I know, right? Yay!
One of those. One of those.
Yeah, something to talk about in early to mid September. Usually, not much.
I mean, the avalanche is just starting now for game releases.
Yeah,
so
it's usually
lots of that from here on
That's
out.
what I say. It's usually. I was going to say it's usually more game releases than game announcements. This time of year.
Yeah.
Usually, June, July is when you get all your announcements, and then September on is when you get your releases. But Sony's got to be different now. They like to be different. They don't like to. They don't like to do it when everybody else. Yeah, I do too. Yeah, I got lots on that too. So, but we'll get to that. We got plenty of time for that. We'll get to that. But we'll start off with things we've been playing. I don't have much to say because I've just been playing the same things that you guys have been playing that you talked about last week. I did play Psychonauts for about 2.5 hours on Series X. Pretty cool. Bumped it up to 120 hertz just to see how
nice. I bet that looks good.
Yeah, it's nice and smooth, and it's a Double Fine game. It's Psychonauts,
but it's like the most polished Double Fine game.
It really is.
It's really, really pretty.
That Microsoft money like pulls through.
Yeah.
It shows that Microsoft money.
Man, between that and like Ratchet and Clank earlier this year, I'm like, I hope we get more and more of these kind of like cartoony or just like different art styles done to like really high fidelity because they look awesome. Whereas you've got all these games that are pursuing how real can we get, or even like movies with like even CG stuff from Pixar. It's like how close to real can we get? And like
we just need
a
few more things to bring back that resurgence of like the early 2000s. We need Jack and Daxter to come back, and we need Sly Cooper to come back. We need those two things, please.
I don't know. Please. You can maybe get one of those. I don't know that you get Jack and Daxter and Sly Cooper. That's like too many lightning strikes that you're trying to hit.
I'll take Sly Cooper then.
Plus, the companies the developers that make Sly Cooper and the Jackson or Jack and Daxter are making way different games now, and they've went.
I mean, it'd be something like getting people who love those properties to make a game, kind of like what you have with some of the Sonic games, like the decent Sonic games, I guess. The last however many 5 years, ish. Exactly. Where we've had a few. It's like, hey, the people who liked it wanted to make a game, and we're actually allowed to. That's about how you'd have to get the new ones. I don't think the actual original studios would work on those titles again.
No, and Sony's sitting on some of those IPs like that. It's like, they could really get out of the third person telling a story. Sometimes it starts.
But it does well to it for them. So like, it's also just where games are at now versus where they were when those games originally came out. It's completely different. So with Psychonauts coming out, it's a very good mix of keeping a lot of what was cool about the old one, but updating it for feeling more like a modern game. So it has kind of like that balance. So like them proving they can do that, maybe some other studios will be like, oh, hey, maybe we can do the same thing.
Yeah. I'll save that comment for the PlayStation showcase. I was gonna make a comment, and I was like, nope. I'll save that for the showcase discussion because it kind of falls into.
It'll put it in the right spot.
Yeah, John, if I say it now, we'll go ahead and start talking about it now, and then things.
There's going to be a lot to talk about, a lot to rant about, and a lot of positives, negatives, but a lot of criticism.
Yeah, I thought so too. But anyway, the other thing that I've been playing was Sea of Thieves. Of course, me and Nathaniel played, 2 nights in a row last weekend. I think it was
couple
Friday
nights
and
in a
Saturday,
row.
or Saturday and Sunday, something like that. I mean,
the first one was awesome because we had that one crew that like we thought they were gonna kill us, but they saw we were newer, so they just like broke our mast, came on our ship, and said, "Hey, you want to have an alliance?" We're like, "Sure." How do we do that?
Yeah, and what was funny is we ended up figuring out that they had at least half the server on the alliance. Maybe we figured, or
it was them, us, and one other ship. So taking that out is like if it was a full server, that's probably half a server. It's at least 3 crews, depending on how big whatever the second ship was. Because I think it was like two. They had 2 guys, I think.
Yeah, I think they had 2. Anyway, and we did not log off until they logged off because it was just like, yeah, maybe we'll just keep playing and milking this for all it's worth because it was.
Hey, this faction that I've heard about but never been to their secret base, I'm a level 10 rep with them for doing nothing.
All right, I'm level 13 now with Reavers for no apparent reason, even though I've never even, hadn't even went to their base or anything like that. I mean, it was just, the gold was flowing, the rep was flowing. It was just like, let's just write it till 1 o'clock in the morning. And then everybody just quietly logged off and that was it. It's like, okay, they're going, let's go to bed.
Here's the thing. Back in my day, John.
Oh Lord!
when where's the mute button?
Back in vanilla, when we pretty much got the entire server together, you just had to. It was almost like a social experiment, right? Because you almost had to take people's word for it because there was no, there wasn't like a visual or sort of mechanic for an alliance,
right? Yeah,
back then, So like,
there wasn't a lot of mechanics for anything back then.
No,
that's true. Yeah, the game was literally just like, here's a map, here's a boat,
go have fun? ?
Yeah. But it was insane, and you just had to take people's word for it. But that'll always be one of my proudest gaming moments. I feel like just having everybody in a game like Sea of Thieves, which let's be honest, a lot of people, and even now, are still pretty hostile.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I mean,
do not play that game solo if you want to just fish. I've learned. I've tried it several times, and every time, like, I can maybe get a couple batches of fish caught just sitting. I'm not even trying to catch special fish. I'm just catching the lowest level, most common fish just off a dock in the middle of, like, on one of the sea posts that's just in the middle of the ocean. And, like, more than once I've had people just roll up, shoot me with a cannon.
Well, yeah.
And it's like, why? Well, fine.
It was like last night. I was doing stuff by myself and rolled up on an island, nobody around, dropped anchor, raised the sails even. I mean, you could clearly tell that I wasn't going anywhere. I had a quest to do for skeletons, and I died. The skeleton killed me, and I came back because there was like 7 of them at one time. It overwhelmed me. I came back, and when I came back, there was a boat next to me just destroying me. I'm like, really? I'm just parked here, nothing on, and I had no treasure, no nothing, and I just kept swimming underneath their boat, killing them, setting their boat on fire, and then they would come back and kill me, and then we just kept doing this over and over and over again. And the whole time they're going, yeah, look at that boat sink. I'm like, what are you doing? It's a sitting target. I mean, it's not like it took you any skill whatsoever to do that.
No.
That was real difficult hitting that still ship from 2 feet away.
Yeah,
good job.
I was like, what are you doing? And then every time they'd be like, oh, they wouldn't even be paying attention to me. I literally did it 3 times. I went under, behind them, stab. Under, behind him. You thought the 3rd time they'd been like, oh, he's gonna, now we've killed him again, he's gonna come. No, they were too busy just enjoying blowing up the boat.
That game would benefit a hell of a lot from some changes for solo players, and I think you'd get a lot more people playing it if they had just a straight up just PvE mode.
Yeah.
So just like, I just want to chill and do my fishing and actually like make progress, because like, who cares how many fish I've caught? Let me do that.
Right.
Like. Or just like, hey, I can still like see other crews or have my own co-op crews in this. I'll just there's no one else around, just all the skeletons and stuff. That would be great. And all the community is like, no, that would ruin it. It's like, no, you can still play the same mode. It's just like different things. Yeah. Or if behind the scenes, if they don't want to do that, Rare decides like, all right, let's matchmake solo people with solo people.
Yeah.
And not have like, hey, here's a full 4-man crew on a giant ship rolling up on some dude in a splintery wooden boat and saying, ha, blow you up and leave. We're the best. Like, no, guys.
Or just do it.
Stop.
Do it like they do in Warcraft. They have PvE servers and they have PvP servers. When you log on, just choose, if you want to be PvE, and that's fine if there's more people on there.
Oh, no. If we have PvE, all the people who want to do that will go away, and how will we get loot? The same way everyone else gets loot.
Does, yeah.
Jerks.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't see the big deal with it. I understand that it's a game.
I would be in the mood to have both. Like, just give me options, man. If I just want to go on and just chill and catch fish for a few hours, let me do that. Like,
here's the thing is I feel like because you have a lot of these quote unquote hardcore gamers that don't really understand that accessibility does not mean that it's making the game into baby mode, or it's making it easy or something like that. You're literally by giving people options, you are increasing the demographic of the potential players for your property. And same goes for not just games, same goes for anything. It could be a book, a movie, whatever. And it's like it just, people need to stop being so elitist with things like these. And it's just like, look, literally nothing is happening with the game. All it's doing is, if anything, it's getting an addition that you do not have to touch.
Right.
That
well,
says
and a
PvE.
lot of people come on, for the first time and play it, and if they get, jumped 6 or 7 times in a row, it gets frustrating. Yeah, you get frustrated.
That happened to me.
Yeah, and I get that. I totally understand it. But
I don't think I will play that game solo ever again. It's just really frustrating because I'm like, I just out here doing a thing. I'm not even doing anything special that would like help you. I'm just getting fish. I'm literally on the dock where you turn in the fish. I'm catching the most common ones. Yeah. And like, you're just being a jerk at that point. And like, if I could just sit here and do it without any fear of them coming up and blowing me up, then like fine, because fishing takes a long time. Like it's not a fast fishing minigame in there. No. It's fun. It's slow enough that you can't rush through it quickly. Like, oh, I've caught all the fish. There's a lot of fish to catch, and each one takes maybe a minute or so, depending on how quickly they bite. So yeah.
And I've been pretty lucky. Let's say I play. If I play it 4 times a week, maybe 3 days, I won't have an incident. And one day I will, and and even then it's just anymore. It's just, I roll my eyes and go, all right, well, he sunk my ship. I've started way over here. Let me go all the way back to that island and finish doing what I was doing. I mean, it's annoyance, but but if they would allow you.
Well, it's like the difference between people who can just. Yeah, if you can just sit and play for hours and hours and it doesn't matter to you, great. Some people don't have that amount of time. They're like, I have a couple hours to play, that's it. And I just lost all this progress because someone rolled up on me an hour in. And it's like, that's frustrating. And like, don't do that. Oh, it's a pirate game. It has to be this way. No, it really doesn't, guys. No.
Yeah. Oh, no.
There's this cool thing that video games have had for a long time called different game modes.
Yeah.
So how about we just have an extra mode where you can do it where there's no PvP?
Yeah.
Or you can still play normal Sea of Thieves. It's still there. We're not talking about getting rid of it.
No, no one's getting rid of it.
No.
Come on.
And I understand, yes, it is a pirate game. I get that. Sure, I understand. It is a pirate game.
Black Flag.
Yeah.
So is other games.
Yeah.
There's lots of pirate games we can point to. Come on.
Just do a PvE or a PvP server. Just when I'm making my crew and I choose it, if I want to do PvE or PvP. If you want to go to PvP and do it, fine. If not, then you can still go over here. It's not taking any away of the games.
Yeah. A huge chunk of the community that's there right now would still play that mode. It wouldn't take that many away from it, or even like permanently. Like me, I'd probably bounce back and forth because there'd be sometimes I want to be on there with other crews, and there'd be sometimes it's like, no, I just want to fish without someone blowing me up.
honestly, I think when it comes to stuff like this, another reason why I welcome it so much is because the elitists that do take offense, if you will, to something like this, if they are so much distraught by the idea to the point where they stop playing the game, perfect. Less toxicity for the game, and then you can enjoy it more.
Well, and like there's some YouTubers I've seen that I would consider elitist. I mean, they have thousands of people that watch them play and stuff like that. They don't just randomly run around and kill people. They attack people. If they get attacked, then they attack. If they don't get attacked, then they don't attack them, unless they're running Reaver, and then it's then you're expected to attack. If somebody's running a merchant flag or something like that.
But that part makes sense. But if it's just some dude's over there at the dock, let's go shoot them. Or hey, someone's cooking some here in the outpost where they spawned in, cool, let's go kill them. That's not piratey, guys. Pirates want that loot, and if it's just someone sitting here who just spawned in, you're not gonna get any loot. You're just being a jerk and kill them for no reason. That's not piratey, man. If you're gonna be like, oh, we need to be more piratey, well, okay, go do piratey things. Go get some treasure. Go actually do some recon. Hey, that ship has a lot of treasure, and they have a crew. Maybe this will be fun. We'll see who's the better pirates.
Yeah.
There you go. That makes sense. Hey, man, we've got 4 people in this giant galleon. We're going to roll up on this one person who just started the game and blow them all to hell. But That's not showing any skill, guys. That's just being a jerk.
True pirate. Just like,
yep.
And a jerk.
Murderers, all of them. Pirates, all of them.
I mean, there's plenty of cutthroatness, sure, but not for no gain. Like,
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Come on.
But, and I guess that's where you get on a good server where people aren't being dicks. That's the but sometimes
that's even a thing because you don't actually pick a server in that game. Whereas if you had like a server browser and like people could set up rules and be like, hey, this is just a PvP only server, or this is PvE, no killing, or whatever, you could pick that from the start. That'd make it a whole lot less kind of frustrations for everybody, really.
Yeah,
because you know what you're getting.
Yeah, and maybe I doubt it, but maybe sometime down the road they'll do that. But I kind of. At this point, I kind of doubt it. So
it seems like Rare's pretty much just going to keep going with who they got, and they're not really looking to grow it that much. They got a big bump from Pirates of the Caribbean license recently, so that's kind of fun. But I bet there's a lot of people who kind of still bounced off of it.
Yeah. Well, and
because of the player base.
And what's funny is my understanding is a lot of that Pirates Life stuff you actually play on servers that don't have other players, so you don't interact with other players. Like when we do Tall Tales, we're just out on the server, and it's like you're still dealing with server. Apparently with Pirates Life, you actually go through a portal that you're in there all by yourself. Apparently you can run the Pirates Life tail and go into the portal to go fishing. That's what a lot of people do. They go into the portal and just set.
Now I know what I've been doing wrong. I'll have to do that next time.
Yeah, I'll have to find that article where they were talking about that. Because
hey, Jack Sparrow, you want to go catch some fish?
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people who are trying to get their fishing up. They'll go in there and fish because there's nobody else in there but just you. So that's one way. Nice. And it's like, well, if people are doing that, wouldn't that say to Rare or somebody that, hey, maybe this is a feature we should implement into the game, because a lot of people
Rare doesn't care at this point, because there's so many, like if you just Google it, there's been for years so many things of like, hey, there should be PvE only in Sea of Thieves.
Yeah.
But they're not going to add it anytime soon.
No, that's too bad too.
The best that they're going is like, hey, we can have a server that a community can rent, so yay, streamers. Like, no. But you're not making progress, so just have fun as an event. Like, no, guys, go all the way or nothing. Just come on.
Yeah, that's what kind of stinks is, I can pay to, or they figure what they're going to do is they're going to pay for private servers, but none of your stuff carries over. So it's like, well,
yeah, if I could have progress and do PvE only, or just have invite only to the server where I could have my friends go on but no one else, great, I would gladly pay for a server.
Yeah,
but if there's no progress and all that, then like, no, like you're only going to sell to a very small like amount of people that way, so why would they bother doing that all on the back end?
Right. Yeah.
And put all that work to make that actually function, and then only limit their market so much, man. Like, I hope that if they do that, they'll actually be like, no, it's open to a bunch more people. Like, do you want to play like this with just your friends? Great. And you keep your progress? Awesome.
Yeah. And you can pay us $10 a month to do it. Okay.
Sure. Like that's honestly not that bad. Because like you can rent servers for other games for that much or more, even sometimes a little less, just depending on what the game is. But that's would not be a bad monthly fee for a server for a video game.
And if all of us were going to play and stuff like that, I could just set up a server, send the password, and say, hey, look, Nathaniel's on. He's been on for 12 hours, just doing nothing but fishing.
I mean, it wouldn't be fishing, but that would be me if I could get you guys to play Minecraft. Because, man,
we're all gonna get in a
being on a Minecraft server is one of the best things, because you just like every time you log on, it's like, oh man, what crazy thing did that person just build? Exactly. Or hey, let me go look at their chest. Wow, you got that many diamonds, or you just made like this farm, so we now have all sorts of like whatever. Oh man, what's that crazy redstone gadget that you built up? That's part of the magic of a Minecraft server.
Yeah,
it's fun on your own, but it's much more fun playing with other people.
Yeah, that's true. But That's all I've been playing. Dennis, your list is really short this week, considering what it usually is. What's up with that?
Are you okay, Dennis?
Maybe he was busy with stuff.
Yeah, it's not too long of a list. So like the little bit of everything kind of comes for different reasons. There's only 4 on the list this week, and so no one worry too much. But I'm sure it'll grow again.
At least there's a horror game in there, so I'm not too worried.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Yeah. Yeah, if you don't ever see something that's horror related, then that's when you got to be like, look, we got to talk. What's going on there? But yeah, no, it's just it's been just haven't really had as much time as I would like to play games, but everything has like a purpose. Like for example, Piku Niku. Been playing a little bit of that. That one's on Xbox Game Pass, so everyone who has Game Pass should absolutely give it a download because this game is super relaxing. They pretty much took the Metroidvania formula and turned it into this chill experience. Basically, it's super goofy, super humorous. You meet all these people that look like nothing really. I mean, they just look like little blobs, I guess. And yeah, it plays like a Metroidvania, and for as simplistic as the graphics are, it's actually like super charming. Like as you play, and it's super cute, and everything. Like every new place you go to is like super identifiable, and it's just a really well put together game. It doesn't ask much of you. Controls are simple. A lot of quality of life things in there. It's super fun to collect stuff. And it's just overall a good time. I've been looking at it for a while, and I know it's actually been on Game Pass for a while, but sometimes you're just in the mood for certain things. So I was like, I'm in the mood for something just super relaxing, and Piku Niku pretty much was, checking off all the boxes that I was looking for on Game Pass, and I put a couple hours into it, and so far it's been treating me well. It's a great time and definitely worth checking out. Definitely one of the better indie games I would argue to come out in the last couple of years. Not just on Game Pass, but in the last couple of years. It's just a super fun time and super.
Just added it to my play later list along with a lot of other things. It's mostly my what is these that I want to play that are on Game Pass list. When I'm in the mood for it, I can be like, okay, but
yeah, but it's like super. Like the game's not a big game either, not just in terms of length, but just like size wise. Like you can probably download it in like, I'd be shocked if it took you more than 5 minutes. Honestly, probably 2 minutes.
Well, Nathaniel's got the fastest internet out of all of us, so probably like
20
seconds. I think so. You got what, fiber?
Does he have fiber? You don't have fiber?
I thought you had fiber.
I got like regular cable that I've had for a while, and I haven't bothered. I think fiber's available in my neighborhood, but I haven't done it. Part of it is because I had AT&T fiber something at a previous house like years ago, like the first iterations of it, and it was a thing like technically yes, you can get up to a gigabyte, but something in there is throttling it where it still does weird stuff where it would like go up and down on the speed, so it wouldn't be constant.
Right.
So it was actually slower than just like the regular cable. So I've been hesitant to do it because I'm fine. I get like 250 or whatever it is on mine. It's technically 200 I pay for, but my modem goes a bit faster.
Yeah, it's like
than that for downloading things. So
yeah.
So it's like it works fine enough. I can download even a decently sized game in an amount of time that's reasonable, so it's fine.
For some reason, I thought you had fiber. Yeah. I don't know why.
It's available in the area in different places. I'm not sure which versions are in my neighborhood, but I'm pretty sure there's something. At least AT&T, I think. I don't know. I'd have to look, but I'm just like, it works. I don't care until the next time I move. Then I'll worry about what internet is available wherever that is.
All right, sorry.
World, we all have fiber. No, it's okay. But yeah, no, Piku Niku is a great time. So if you're just looking for something to just kick back, relax, and you're in the mood for like something that's Metroidvania-esque, but you don't want to put too much time or effort into it, Piku Niku is probably your best bet. It's a great time. But speaking of cute stuff, also this came out maybe a week ago. We were talking a little bit about it before the podcast, but now I can go into detail. Have been playing Kataria Fables as well. That game, first of all, I just want to say that game technically has multiplayer. Here's the problem, though: it's only local multiplayer. It's not online multiplayer, because my girlfriend and I had got it, and because we thought it was cute. It is super cute, and it's a ton of fun. However, the multiplayer for some reason is local only. So basically, what you're doing and how the multiplayer works in Kataria Fables, you just go on these quests together. So once you like leave your village, not you can't go into each other's farm as far as I know, but once you leave the area and you just kind of go and farm for resources and stuff like that, you can start playing together. Now, for some reason, I don't know why that's only done locally. I don't know if they just didn't do any networking on their end, and they were just like, okay, we can technically put it, because they know it's a small studio, so maybe they were just like, yeah, let's just leave it local only, so we don't have to like put all this time and effort into the network infrastructure behind it. But I still don't understand why it's not there, because it's also published by P-Cube, and like they're not a small company, like P-Cube's got some juggernauts behind their name. So I'm not sure why something like that couldn't have been, but you couldn't fund something like that for the game. But yeah, it's local only for some odd reason. But that aside, then the reason why I bring that up is for anyone who is interested in it and wants to get it and maybe wants to play with somebody, and just know that it is local only. Right. Now with Steam, obviously you can do remote play together. So in a way, you can kind of bypass that sort of lack of online by still. Like you can still, do the online, but it would be more of like a PvP thing.
Right.
Not a PvP thing, but you know what I mean? Like peer-to-peer. There we go. Like a peer-to-peer sort of situation. So, and remote play that way. But otherwise, yeah, if you've picked it up on console, just be wary that it is local only for some odd reason. But anyway, so you play as a cat, and this cat just shows up kind of out of nowhere. Honestly, the story behind why the cat is here makes no difference. The cat was just literally, we just walk into this town. I think it's called like Paw Village. You walk in the farm and you go to town on that. But it's overall just a really good time. It's not as balanced as I would like. I would say it's more, I went into it thinking it would be more of a farming game with RPG elements, something that's kind of akin to Adventure Bar Story or games like that. However, it ended up being more RPG than farming. Like it wasn't even like really split down the middle. I would say it's probably 65-35 in terms of the RPG to farming ratio. And but it's very simple. There's no levels. It's almost like an RPG light. So there's no levels. How you kind of increase your powers, you just get better equipment, really. And everything's very linear also. So you won't be finding stuff out in the world or anything. You will craft everything that you attain, basically. So if you want a new sword, a more powerful sword, craft it. If you want a more powerful bow, craft it, because you're not going to open up a chest and find one in it. Right. It's mainly going to be resources and stuff. So your gold, your pieces of iron, silver, things like that to help you craft these things. And so yeah, you kind of level up that way. So you do want to make sure that you invest that time into the farming. So it's not one of those things that almost feels like an afterthought. It very much is a part of, because your sort of proficiency in farming will determine how far you get in the RPG portion of it, pretty much. So is the best way to look at it. My biggest gripe with that game, truthfully, is like the hitboxes are a little weird. So the combat definitely feels a little on the janky side of things. However, it's one of those things that you kind of quickly figure out a workaround for. So once you just kind of start getting used to properly dodging and, rather than just spamming, if you're spamming your attacks, you're going to die. You're gonna die. But we're not talking
about
the
Dark Souls of farming.
I was gonna say, it's not gonna be your Bloodborne type of stuff, but it's not to that level.
I'm just being silly because it's fun.
But but if you just start hacking and slashing away, the problem is you will get hit and eventually you will die. Now you can carry food with you to heal yourself, and what's nice is the game is super accessible. So rather than having to remember every single animation of every enemy and stuff like that, and when they look like they're about to hit, there's actually a little AoE sort of indication of when, like the ground will start flashing red, or they'll start flashing red when they're about to hit. Now, however, everybody hits at a different speed, so even though you don't necessarily have to remember, I didn't realize they were going to attack, because you will realize, but everybody attacks at a different speed, right? So some maybe take maybe half a second to hit you, while others power up for maybe 2 or 3 seconds before they swing and hit you. So it's all going to be different in that regard. But yeah, it's cool. The world is really cool. My biggest issue, aside from that, also the jankiness, is the fact that the fast travel system, garbage, absolute garbage. Like it's first of all, with my, I don't even know how many hours we've put into it now. I think maybe like 20 plus, 25 plus. The map has almost been filled at this point, and there's only 2 fast travel areas, and that is one for Paw Village, and then there's one for like another town that's like a little bit away, and that is it. You can go all over this well, it's not like a gigantic map, we're not talking like Red Dead or anything, but this fairly large map that it certainly feels large when you're just walking everywhere fairly slowly. So there's only 2, and that becomes problematic in a lot of ways. Now, you can technically fast travel to other areas through these things called checkpoints. Now, the 2 main portals, they're just called portals, like the 2 things you teleport from, you fast travel with, because you can't just open up your map, click an area, and then go there. Like, you have to physically go to a little teleport device. And once you do that, you can fast travel to certain checkpoints, but they're one way. So if you got to go back to the village after doing like a mission or whatever, you got to walk all the way back. You can't call an Uber or nothing. It's terrible. Like the fast travel system is just atrocious, and it is a big pain. But that's honestly my 2 biggest issues. So that's something that I wish could fix. And the jankiness of the combat's a little odd as well. I want to say I'm missing one more thing. Yeah, the menu system also. The menu system isn't the best. Like your inventory is not that intuitive. And if you want to switch out a weapon, rather than having, a dedicated like weapon wheel or something like that, you have to go into the inventory, then you got to go to the weapons tab, and then you got to select the weapon, and then you got to select it again to bring out the menu, and then you got to say equip, and then you got to go back and back and back, and then do it that way. So if you like a particular weapon, then that won't be that much of an issue. However, this applies to almost everything you can equip. So when I'm farming, and I got to water one thing, and then I got to, till the ground a little bit, and then maybe I have to refill the watering can, and then, I've got to, bring out the pickaxe to, hit a piece of stone, or bring out the axe to hit a piece of wood, all of that constantly. Open up the menu, go back over there, select it, equip it, go back, do it, even if it's for like 1 or 2 hits. Okay, let me get the watering can. Okay, do that again. It is exhausting. It is exhausting, and that's the those like the big 3 sins in that game, honestly. Otherwise, super cute. Been playing it on the Switch. Runs well, looks great. However, they claimed that in docked mode the game runs in 60 frames a second. It does not. It does not. That game stays at 30 whether in handheld or docked mode. Now, it doesn't look good on the TV. It is 1080p. Huh?
I wonder if it's a glitch.
Possibly. But it's but it does bring the res up, which is nice. I mean, but it looks good in both handheld and TV mode. But the lack of 60 frames can be a little not necessarily jarring, but it's one of those things that's disappointing, because they're like, yeah, no, it's 60 docked, 30 undocked, and no, it's 30 both ways. So I don't know.
Well, maybe
know.
There's in the future it could fix it potentially.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Update or
yeah, possibly. Possibly, yeah. I don't know what the issue is, but hopefully it's something that they can patch in to fix.
No
but
options to go into and change it manually.
So okay, speaking of options, hilariously, there's one graphic option, and I've never seen this before, where literally it's just one checkbox that you can uncheck or check. Doesn't change how the game runs. All it is you go to the graphics option, just the tab, one little option, and all it says is enhance color. That's it. So it just makes the trees a little more green.
No, it'd be hilarious if it literally does nothing, but it's something that's there to make you think it's. Oh man, these colors are so enhanced.
Oh my gosh, there's so much.
But that's it. And I've toggled it on and off, and like things get a little more faded, when you turn it off. But it just kind of, it's more of an atmosphere setting, really. It's like,
it sounds like they have a color saturation thing where, like, okay, up it by 50% or not. Like
it's essentially what it is. Yeah, it's essentially what it is. And I think really, if anything, I would consider it more of an atmosphere toggle, because when you turn it off and everything becomes more faded, it just feels more, I don't know, I guess dark and like adventurous, I suppose, versus, when you hit the enhanced color option, everything gets so colorful and it just looks super cute. And it's just like, it's like, oh, well, now this seems like a cheerful, adventure, it's like, just
have a happy sad toggle then, but it's the same thing. They just relabel it. Oh, what is this happy sad graphics setting? I don't know. Let me try it out.
Let's see. Oh,
everybody just like being like, oh, okay, all right, I see it now. Revolutionary. Which all games had. But lastly, in addition to that, I've been playing a ton of Genshin Impact. So finally, I know I'm a little late, but I've been jumping into that, playing that, and having a phenomenal time with it. It's definitely been scratching that itch for me just really wanting. I mean, now that I've played more and more of it, it's not too much like it, but it's similar in a lot of ways, but it's still scratching that itch of just me having that open world sort of Breath of the Wild-esque sort of RPG. And except definitely a lot more flashy, for sure.
It's definitely got that JRPG flash to it.
For sure. Yeah. I would say it's like a perfect blend between Breath of the Wild and like Tales, probably. But obviously it's got those gacha sort of elements to it as well, because it is a mobile game, and MiHoYo, I think, is the name of the studio. They have mobile roots. I mean, every game that they've made prior to Genshin Impact, they were all mobile games. Great games though. Like, I still highly recommend Honkai Impact 3rd, I think is what it's called. Fantastic game. I didn't even realize they did that. I mean, it makes sense looking back on it, but that was like when I first got my Pixel 3, that was one of the first games I downloaded, and it blew me away. I was like, oh my god, like I wish this was on console. But yeah, so those guys are very like good at making console quality games, but like on your phone. And they're just, it's just been a great time. Genshin pretty much speaks for itself at this point. I mean, it is basically right down the middle between Breath of the Wild and a Tales game, and except you're going to have that party of 4. You're going to switch seamlessly between them. No one acts on their own, but everything you do kind of influences what you do in combat. So basically you can have, you have people who are multiple elements. You have someone who's a wind element, someone who's an electro element, someone who's a fire element, so on and so forth. But you can have all at once, bring out your fire hero, shoot up a barrage of arrows, all on fire, and then you could bring out your wind hero and then start up a tornado, and then all of a sudden and the elements kind of blend like they do in Breath of the Wild too, so you can all of a sudden have like a fire tornado and things like that.
Like so, when I was playing it, when I got to the second area, which I think there was only 2 areas where you change, like the main character can change their powers, like the elements and stuff, and I was like, nope, I went straight back to wind after it was like rock, I think, because it's so good to throw all the other things and then use the wind to pick up whatever element. It just was so good that I was like, yeah, no, I like this better. It's more fun. I like fire tornadoes and stuff.
The wind element is they definitely put more of an emphasis on that, if anything else, just because I feel like because it's a big part of the story. And I think Mondstadt, which is like you're going to be your main place. It's referred to as the City of Wind.
Yeah, that's the main city in like the first area that they released in the game, and it's the big main part. And then when I was playing, which is forever ago, they've added so much to it since then.
Yeah,
I can't remember, but like the other area had some other cities that felt a lot more kind of Japanese, like old Japanese architecture type stuff. That was kind of cool. So it felt different, but it was the terrain and things was a lot more kind of like rocky and stuff like that than the main area for the first part, where it's a lot more grasslands and stuff.
For sure, yeah. But it's been an awesome time with it. I think I appreciate the game so much also because it has that element of just relaxation to it, where you can just explore and not feel stressed or super sort of forced to go do things, and the gacha elements honestly are so lightweight. Like, they really don't bother you with it. The game is perfectly playable without it, and
for a while, yes.
I'm sure it gets to that point, but
the grind definitely starts coming in a lot later. But you can play for quite a while before you even hit any of that. It just feels like a normal, just like, hey, this is just a single player JRPG game.
Yeah. And it also had me thinking how, like, I wish we had more games like that, because I feel like whenever you see a free-to-play game, it's always a multiplayer game. Always. You rarely see a single-player free-to-play game. There's always multiplayer elements to it. Now, granted, there's multiplayer here, but it's so tiny. It doesn't really, that's not the point of Genshin Impact. It is very much a single-player JRPG.
If I remember right, you can't even do multiplayer until you've leveled up to, like, 10 or 20 or something, whatever it is. Right. They don't unlock it for a while.
Yeah, that sounds right. I haven't even touched it. I haven't really thought about it either, so don't know.
I didn't either.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what I've been playing.
Cool. What about Song of Horror? You want to talk about Song of Horror? Did you talk about Song?
Oh, did I not talk about Song of Horror?
No, that's the one horror game. That's what we said. If
oh my god,
we pointed it out. Your horror game. I mean, it's.
oh my god.
That's all he wanted to say, that he played a horror game.
Okay. Well, I mean, if that's all you wanted to say, that's fine.
No. We'll talk about Song of Horror. Song of Horror is worth talking about. This game. So Song of Horror actually came out a while back, and but they released everything kind of episodically when it was in early access. But now that the game has been out for a while now, I wanted to revisit it because I was kind of itching for something super scary, but also something Silent Hill-esque, and it is fantastic. The scares in this game are genuinely, like, unless it's something that's related to the story where it has to happen, everything else feels completely unscripted. Like, everything feels so authentic and how you would expect a sort of, if you were in that situation, how you would expect it to actually happen in, like, real life. Like, it's insane how the RNG kind of works for the horror aspects of it. Number one, they don't give you any chance to breathe. You do not get a chance to breathe. Number two, if you try staying still because you want that chance to breathe, all of a sudden, like, a door will all of a sudden start shaking like crazy, right? And it'll scare you and the character. You hear, and then, like, you'll hear a big bang come from either upstairs or like another side of the house, and, like, you're just like, what is going on? There was a part where I was investigating the bathroom, and I left the bathroom, and then I was walking down the hallway, and then everything was fine. And I was like, you know what? Actually, let me go back to the bathroom, actually, because I just want to give it one more look, because I think there was something in there that I missed. I just wasn't sure. I just wanted to be thorough, so I went back. But then I was like, you know what? Actually, no, there's not. So then I turned around. I didn't actually physically go into the bathroom. I turned around, and then right back that hallway where I was walking down before, no problem. All of a sudden, the lights flickered, and there's this figure in the distance, and I was like, I'm gonna go back to the bathroom.
Because I need it right now.
Yeah, because I need to go to the bathroom. Yeah,
exactly. So, but that was like, but the first time I went down that hallway, nothing happened. I didn't, it couldn't have been a trigger because I didn't open the door. I didn't go into the bathroom. It was just still, everything was still in one seamless motion. But all of a sudden, the lights started flickering, and you see that a lot in this game, and it's crazy. Now, the biggest part I think that makes this game honestly scary is that there's permadeath. So it's not like you can just die and restart from a checkpoint. Like when you die, that's it. Yeah. Now every episode has a certain amount of characters you can play with. So if you kill off one character, you can get another character to come back and pick up where you left off. However, when I say pick up where you left off, that doesn't necessarily mean spawn where you died. It does not mean that you start from the beginning of a location. And then if you want to pick up all your stuff, you can just go to where they died and kind of like, Zombie U or whatever, just find their stuff and pick it up and then you get all your stuff back that way. But yeah, it's a clever way to do a sort of life system, honestly, to have all those different characters, and all those different characters also have certain stats as well. Certain stats, certain perks. Some are better with stealth, some are better with running, some are better with keeping their composure, so their insanity doesn't get the better of them, so on and so forth. And everybody has a certain, thing. Maybe one person prefers a flashlight, somebody else prefers a lighter, somebody else prefers using their phone. There's all these different sorts of light sources and little perks that they all have. And you can choose which character you want to play with at first as well. It's, they have styles for almost anybody who wants to play the game. But again, if they die, that's it, And if you lose everybody by the end of an episode, that's it. You got to restart the entire episode. And so it can get very, very intense that way. But yeah, the game is like a big just horror puzzle adventure, and it's wild. It's wild. It's definitely scratching that itch for me as well, kind of like Genshin is for Breath of the Wild, where this is scratching that itch for me in terms of that more traditional puzzle horror, experience, that would be akin to like a Clock Tower or a Silent Hill and stuff like that, but yeah, it's been a fantastic time, and I would recommend this especially like for people who were excited for Visage, however it's pronounced, and felt it was too difficult. Even though this one's technically more difficult, it's a lot more palatable, I feel like, just because there's a lot more flexibility. Visage, whatever, felt too, even though it was like insanely scary and probably one of the scariest games I've played in years, without a doubt, and, definitely being a sort of authentic PT experience, I think it was too convoluted for its own good. A lot of the puzzles in there were way too out of the box, and it's just like without a guide, and this is coming from someone who loves puzzles. I've played some of the hardest puzzle games on the planet, but that game has stuff that literally there's no logic to it. It's a sequence of triggers that you're going to do in a certain order, and it's just like, look, and without a guide, literally I would have been here for hours playing hide and go seek and just doing a bunch of trial and error. And like, there's an element of fun to that because you're kind of experimenting and you're exploring and you're figuring it out for yourself. But there reaches a point in which you do something over and over again where that reward goes away. So even if you do figure it out, you don't feel rewarded. It's one of those things where it's just like, finally, I hate this. You're not happy about it. So, and then if anything, you feel less incentive to go on because you're like, even though I just did that, like, what else is waiting for me? So it's. But Song of Horror feels a lot more fluid in that regard, in the way that you progress, despite its sort of RNG scares and stuff. But yeah, so yeah, I would highly recommend that to anyone who's looking for a sort of Visage, Silent Hill-esque experience to really quench the thirst of proper, more traditional, old school horror, but done with a modern engine and a modern take on it. So, and yeah, I've been playing that on PC and having a good time with it. But yeah, that's everything.
Sweet. Nathaniel, next in line, so go ahead.
Next in line.
Next on the list, so why not just go right down the list?
I didn't know we were standing in a line. I thought we were in a square or something. I don't
know.
Triangle. That'd be
some
weird.
Sort of shape. I don't know.
Somebody's standing on top of somebody if we're in a triangle, then,
or someone's in the center.
Well, yeah, I guess that could
three
be
others around.
I was going crazy. Yeah, sure.
Stop stepping on my ear.
Yeah.
I've been playing a bunch of different things, like we talked about earlier. Played some Sea of Thieves, so I don't need to cover that too much more, really, because we talked about that when you were talking. And then Psychonauts 2, I finished that and 100%ed all the collectibles and everything. So I've got all the achievements in that game.
Cool.
Super awesome, super creative. I wish I could talk about some of the levels because they're amazing.
Yeah.
But it would kind of spoil it a little bit. Because part of the magic is like, oh, hey, whoa, this is a cool, like, new theme for levels. So
yeah,
my favorite one is probably midway through of like the levels that you get, because I don't know, it changes the rendering engine, I guess is the way to put it, to be vague.
Yeah.
So the game looks different than it does the rest. Okay. It's not just like, hey, we've themed it to this, and so we've got, like the opening level, there's teeth everywhere because that's the theme of the level. It's not just that. It also changes the way that the game actually looks for that particular level, and it's really cool. Yeah. And it fits perfectly with the theme of it. It's great.
Cool.
And just the music in there is also great. Well, the whole game, the music is amazing. So I kind of talked about that last time too, just how great everything in Psychonauts 2 is. It's awesome. Like, I don't know if it'll be like my #1 game of the year, but it's definitely high up there because I don't know, we've had a few good games this year. It seems like we haven't had quite as many big studio releases, but the ones that have come out have all been pretty good for the most part. So we haven't had any, true stinkers in there, at least that I can remember, unless I've just suppressed it. Oh, it's so bad I don't remember it now. I also played a few just small little things on Game Pass because I wanted to play some small things. So I played and finished The Gardens Between, which is kind of a like puzzle game where you're playing with time a little bit. You can either go forwards or like it's kind of like each level plays out and you go forwards or backwards in time using the stick, and then you can interact with a few different things. So that introduces kind of little mechanics. So there's things where if you activate it, you can move the time of the level without the characters moving like you would normally. So that means you can get something in position so that when you move, you can like walk over it or whatever. There's a bunch of fun, creative things they do with it. Yeah. And it's got a nice art style to it. And it's, I don't know, a few hours and I was done.
I played it.
It's not a
also,
super long game.
I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that game very much. Yeah, I think I beat it in like 4 hours. Couldn't have been longer than 5 hours.
It's about like that. It depends on how difficult you find a few of the levels, probably, because some of them are pretty straightforward, especially early on, but then a few of them later were a lot more tricky. There was one I had to look up because it's just like I'd even tried doing what you're supposed to do, kind of, but it was just I wasn't in quite the exact right position to get a thing to trigger, and was like, oh, but I tried that. Okay, I'll just do it again.
That only happened to me once. Was it that weird sort of like platform you had to like go up on? There was like a level, if I remember correctly, they had like a bunch of like just like these wooden platforms that almost like elevators that you had to get up on, and one of the last ones was almost impossible for me for some reason. But that was the only one I had to look up. And it was just me not being in the right position.
No, the one I had trouble with was like near the end.
Okay.
It was like the second to last level or something, and it had a mechanic with lightning that I tried, but didn't actually, because it had, unlike some other things, it has some kind of like grace period or positioning where you have to get kind of close enough, and then like if you're not quite there, it'll like shift it to the exact thing. That one you have to be like almost pixel perfect, and then sit and wait longer than similar things that happen earlier in the game. So I just didn't get it without looking. I'm like, I've gone forwards and backwards up this thing for like 15-20 minutes now, and I can't figure it out. I'm gonna look it up. So close to the end of this thing, is like, whatever, I'll see what am I missing, what's the first part of this level that I'm missing, so I can at least do something. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that was dumb. I have to be at this exact spot and then wait for this amount of time. I was like, all right, well, okay, sure. That's just where they kind of tweaked the difficulty just enough where I just personally didn't quite get it, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, it was a fun little game. I also played a couple hours of Rain on Your Parade, which is just a dumb, fun game.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, I beat it. That game was goofy.
Yeah, I haven't beat it, but I got, a decent part in. And it's fun with, there's a few spots where they kind of do tongue-in-cheek poking fun at the games industry, like talking about how like you have to buy the expansion or something like that at some point where you get in, they're like, just kidding, that would be stupid, forget microtransactions, we don't got them. Yeah. So yeah, like that's fun. You're just a little cloud. You get all sorts of fun little cloud outfits up and have fun putting on different hats and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, now I'm a cloud with a monocle. Yay!
This is a fun little game.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'll probably go back to that at some point and whatever. I'm just like, oh, what do I want to play? I'll play this for a little bit more. I'll probably eventually finish it. And then I also played Carto, Carto, like as in cartographer, which is how that game works. So it's like it's very cool art style, which is why I wanted to try it in the first place. It's very kind of like maybe colored pencil or crayon drawings look to it, and you're just a little girl running around. And the mechanic of the game is like you have a map that you can go in, and all of the square tiles and stuff, you can move them around and rotate them and match them kind of terrain-wise, like you would kind of in like maybe a board game or something, where like you can only match these sides together. You can't put like grasslands up against forest. You have to connect them all together. But anything you do, once you go back out, it's rearranged all the landscape around you. So it's a little bit of a puzzle of like, okay, you have to arrange these this way, and then a secret tile will show up, and then you can do something there. Or so-and-so's cabin is right next to the beach, so you have to find and arrange it right, and then they'll appear on the map because you arranged it in a right way. And then you're moving through the game kind of using these kind of ideas in different ways throughout the thing. I haven't beaten it yet, though. I'm trying to remember. I think I got to the third area in that game.
Yeah, I've only put like 3 hours into it, I think, but I was enjoying it like a lot though. It was very, very good.
The last thing I did was kind of a Lost Woods type level where like it would do these weird things where there was like a fog of war it would put over, and you had to look at clues to order to navigate through and get to the next little bit of an area, and then it did do something similar for the next part, and you had to wind your way through to something that's in the center of the forest. But it's different than say like a Zelda game or anything else, because you're moving the map around in order to navigate, and so you like do weird things to kind of arrange it so that you can go the correct directions.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a chill little game. Kind of fun little... I was in like puzzle mood, so that's kind of why I picked those 3 games. I've got a bunch of other ones on Game Pass that I'm in the mood. I'm like, oh, I'll download that puzzle game. So yeah, that's kind of like the Game Passy type stuff. But since Thursday, I've been playing the new Life is Strange True Colors game, and it is excellent.
I want it. I want it bad.
I want to play it too.
It's kind of like, I saw this headline somewhere, and I kind of agree. It's kind of like Life is Strange grew up a little bit. So the main characters in like the previous Life is Strange is all kind of like teenager or younger. And this one, they're kind of like in their 20s. It's kind of like, at least where the main character, and then there's older people as well. It's set kind of in a small town in Colorado somewhere. And which is nice because the Life is Strange art style, they've upped it again just with the engine and stuff. There's even a little bit of ray tracing in there. So you see like mountains in the background. It's got very kind of like a slight painterly look for stuff in the distance, but I don't know. They did a really, really, really good job with the motion capture, performance capture stuff in the game. So it's got a lot more fidelity than they've had in the previous Life is Strange game. That's kind of, other than just the look of just graphically like, wow, it's very pretty. That's one of the things that's kind of impacted me the most. Like, wow, they really did a good job of getting these animations in here that look really good. If you think back to the original Life is Strange, you're like, yeah, that one wasn't like that. They didn't do performance capture for that game. It was still great, and it was just, because of the time it was made, they also, I doubt, had the budget of this game. This game, they definitely spent some money on it. So I think even though it's all out at once, they're still doing kind of the episode structure. So I'm kind of 3.5-ish episodes in. And I don't know, it's like I think that I didn't even pay too much close attention after the original reveal of all the different videos and stuff they put out on it, and even I had something spoiled in it from just their thing. I was like, oh, I wish that I didn't know this thing that happens in the first episode, because it would have had more impact. But even with that, it was like, not bad. It's just like, oh, man, that would have hit me harder if I didn't know that something like it was going to happen. Yeah. Again, because I played Life is Strange, I probably could have guessed, like, okay, it's not going to be sunshine and roses this whole time. There's going to be something bad happen.
Right, yeah.
Is it as because they kind of defined it as like, I mean, is it as open as they say it is? Like, can you walk around a lot of big
So
spaces?
it starts where you arrive at this, like, the small town or whatever, and it's very linear for a bit until you get to a point in the story. And then it's more like parts of the story are more open, where you have like, okay, here you can walk around and there's like some optional objectives you can choose to do. Here's the main thing that you got to do next, or here's a couple main things you got to do to progress the story. You can wander around, look at all the different stuff. There's like kind of like the bar area that's the building you can go in. You can go into a record shop, a flower shop. I think I'm forgetting one, but anyway, there's a couple buildings you can actually go in. Sometimes you can't go into them because story reasons, like, hey, that store is closed or whatever it may be. But there's kind of like maybe 2 small town blocks or so that you can walk up and down, and you can go behind some of the buildings and find secret stuff. And there's a bunch of NPCs around that, because of your power, you can kind of listen in on people's emotions a little bit. It's kind of like reading their thoughts a little bit, is how the game presents it. But depending on kind of like what aura they have, like, oh, they're feeling fear, or they're feeling anger, or they're feeling whatever, as it teaches it to you as you go through the game.
Okay.
And so there's sometimes you kind of like listen into NPCs just to know, like, kind of just their conversations too. Like, there's fun things with different ones that will progress through the episodes. So like in the first episode, like, you hear this conversation, and the next episode is like, oh, hey, now they're talking about this. So there's like, what are the ice cream shop owners talking about? What are these 2 people talking about? And it's kind of fun, like, see plot stuff that's just little things that change. It's like, oh, that's cool, that's neat. It rewards me for paying attention and wandering around everywhere. And then, just like any other Life is Strange game, there's all sorts of stuff that you can click a button, but like, hey, what does the character think about this thing they're looking at? What do they think about this? Like, there's got all the kind of Life is Strange type of mechanical goodness in there. So you can either just beeline to the thing you got to do, or you can go and look at absolutely everything. Like, hey, come meet me over here. I'll be there shortly. Then, like, an hour later, hey, I finally made it here after I looked at everything in my apartment or whatever. I had to look at every single thing and see what I thought about it. They have, just like other Life is Strange games, they have kind of like the Zen moments or whatever they call them, where you're like, sit here and we have some sort of like kind of cool melancholic song playing while your character says a few things, and it cuts to a few camera angles, and you can back out of it at whatever time you want. But I don't know, like, the vibe of this game is a little bit more grown up, is a nice way to put it, because it's not quite the same like teenage angst type stuff they've had in the previous games, and it's not as like fantastical. Like, you kind of have your little power, and it helps you get some insights into things, but it's not like there's some like strange tornado storm coming to destroy the town, or there's not like something super crazy, or even as like with Life is Strange 2, where it was they're on the run, so like each episode they're in a different location kind of thing. It's like, no, we're gonna sit in this one like location that has a bunch of different aspects to it. We've got all that stuff. This one though, like, immediately within like the first 5 minutes, I was hooked with just the characters, because they all are very well written and very well performed. So it's just like, it's oozing charm. So they're just like, yes, I like that character. I like that character. Oh, that's the guy I don't like, but I'm not supposed to like him because they make him turn out to be the jerk. But maybe later he'll be cooler if I do the right choices, or whatever. If you've played a Life is Strange game, you can play the guessing game the whole time. Like, oh, what's going to happen later if I do this?
And it's
or,
not
oh man, this
right?
choice sucks. It's like, oh no, man, do I pick this one or that one? This is hard. They definitely have a few of those. Yeah. What did you say, John?
I said it's not episodic, right? It's just
it is.
Is it? Okay.
Like, all of it is there, but it's still 5 episodes.
Oh, okay. So, but it's all there. It's not like
they're still structuring it that way.
Okay.
But the only thing they don't have right now is kind of, if you have the add-on thing with the deluxe edition, that's like the extra like side prequel story that's not out yet.
Okay.
But it's like a standalone prequel thing featuring one of the Steph, who was also in the Before the Storm game before. She's a character that's in the main game, but like, you play as her, I think, in that, and it's not out yet. Gotcha. But other than that, yeah, like, all the episodes are in there. It's not like anything's missing as far as that goes.
Yeah, cool.
It's just, yeah, it's still structured the same. They just didn't release it the same.
Right. Okay. That's what I couldn't remember, if they'd ever said that or not. So I was curious.
Yeah, so it's like you're still going through, and like, some of the stuff in this one, you can find objects and things that you are collecting. Memories is the big collectible in here. So like you scan a thing with your power, and then like you get kind of like some voiceover of like something connected to like, hey, like I looked at this photo, so I'm kind of getting like an audio play of like what happened around that photo, the emotions they were feeling at the time or something. And that's kind of the collectibles you're looking for, as opposed to like I gotta go draw something or I gotta go take a picture or something like that they've had in previous games. But it serves kind of the same function. You also have like a journal like previous games have had, so like certain things will like you'll write down. You have your phone in this game, so you also get like text messages like you've had in previous games. You get like they have basically like the town's Facebook. So it's like the town's social media. I forget what they call it. They have like a name for it, but it's like basically the town's Facebook pages, and like everybody's posting things on it, and like as you go through, like bloop, your phone thing will go off and you go check, oh, there's new posts and stuff about the stuff I just did, or even just random things.
Yeah.
So if you choose to like read all that, it also helps with some of like just the charm and stuff. Like they have goofy, silly things in there, or it'll react to what you did. So like someone will post a message about something that just happened. And you're like, oh yeah. And then sometimes every once in a while, even the character will have like a voiceover dialogue to mention like how they feel about whatever this post is.
Cool.
So it's just all the different little pieces coming together. But yeah, like it's super, super good. I'm very glad that I like didn't wait on it, because I was like, oh, do I want to play it now? Yes, I do. I didn't have to wait very long. I was like, nope.
Yeah.
download, please, right now.
I've been looking forward to it.
Play it on the best system that you can, like, because it benefits from it. I'm playing on PC, and
I'll probably play it on Series X. I mean,
Series X it will also look very good on. Like, it'll be about the same experience there, but like, you know. I don't know that I doubt it'll suffer too much if you're playing like Xbox One or something like that, other than maybe some load times here or there, maybe. But that's not really a huge deal. It's just more of how the game looks, because like it looks so good that like if you had to cut the fidelity on it, you'd be missing out on some stuff.
Yeah, cool.
But man, especially I'm sure Series X will look, maybe frame rate would suffer on Xbox One or something too, but like at 100 something frames or whatever I'm looking at, it's so smooth.
Yeah,
like I bet. It really, really helps the like animations with the motion capture, just like people moving around. Like the facial animations are really good. If you were only at 30 frames a second, you'd lose some of that detail.
Yeah,
so it's really, really nice.
Yeah, and I don't know.
But yeah, it's just
I don't know what it runs on Xbox. Probably at least 60, I would say. Maybe 100.
Probably, yeah. I don't know that. Yeah, I'm sure that like they can optimize it for platforms pretty well, but if and when the Switch version is out, it probably won't look nearly as good as the rest.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Because there's just no way it can run it. It's got it like on the surface, be like, oh, that just looks like a Life is Strange game. But then when it's actually like running in front of you, you're like, oh, okay, I see that they did a whole lot here that's updated even since the last version of this that they put out. Even since like Tell Me Why. There we go. To think of it, the Tell Me Why game that they put out also looked really good, but this looks even better than that.
Yeah.
So they definitely know what they're doing, kind of with this engine and art style or whatever they're doing with it. That I don't know. This is probably not even on the same engine as the previous games, but they know what they're doing as far as like populating it and how to like, okay, we'll put all the detail here, and then like that photo over there that doesn't matter that's on the bulletin board, it'll be a slightly like lower fidelity drawing that we put in there, because that's not where we're spending our time.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's like all sorts of just fun, cool moments in there. There's a ton of just great characters, because it's set in kind of like a small town. You get a lot of the like quirky small town characters, like this is the the old guy who talks a lot and has so many stories, or here's like this type of person, or they do a really good job with kind of having everybody feel different. They're not like all the same.
Just what I'm hearing or reading here on a Reddit post, it says that Life is Strange 2 Colors is locked at 30 frames a second on all consoles. So
that seems weird for the current gen ones. Like Series X or PS5 could totally run that higher than 30. That's weird, especially because like my PC have maxed out every setting, and it still runs at over 100 frames.
Yeah.
Which there's other new games that I can't do that on, even if I cut some of the settings back. So like they're not like, even though it looks gorgeous and they're doing some things in there, it's not like the new consoles could not run it at 60. Like that's odd.
It is odd, because that's exactly what it says. Do not buy it on Do not buy it on console. Buy it on PC if you can play it on PC because you can run it at a higher frame rate.
Yeah, if you have the option, then yes, because like even if your monitor is only going to show you 60 frames for your PC and you don't have one like that's a fancy expensive one like mine that shows higher than that, like even at 60 it would be better than 30.
Yeah,
like 30 wouldn't be bad. It's not like it's a shooter or something that you need the frame rate for. It's just, it looks nicer with you catch all the detail in the animation and movement that you wouldn't get at 30. Yeah. But it'd be fine at 30 if that's your only option. Play it there. It's still a good game.
It looks like the other day, like the Life is Strange official Twitter said regarding frame rate, Life is Strange True Colors was designed to be a cinematic performance-driven narrative adventure capping at 30 frames a second allows us to target higher cinematic fidelity on every platform. So that's why they capped it.
Yeah, but no, you could still have had it at 60 on next gen, no problem.
Yeah.
And if they're gonna actually like put any more extra work for patching this game over, I bet in the future they'll put like a next gen in quotes patch on it to up the frame rate.
Just unlock the frame rate.
Yeah.
And if people want to play it on 30 frames, let them play it on 30 frames.
Do like other games, performance or quality. There you go. Yeah. It's like it's been done a ton of times at this point. Just give people the option.
Yeah, give them the option. I mean, there's no reason not to in this day and
age. If you can have, like, I know this is completely different, but if you can have Ratchet and Clank running at 60 frames a second, you can do Life is Strange at 60 frames a second. Like,
exactly.
they could do it if they put in the work.
I mean, like I said, I played Psychonauts 2 on 120, and it was just buttery smooth and everything. So it's like,
come on. I'd be willing to bet if somebody in there like took the game as it is right now and just was able to hack just the frame rate off of the 30 cap and just let it go unlimited, they would probably hit 60 easy.
Yeah.
On the next gen ones at least, because I don't know. I get that you're like, oh, you want it to be cinematic. Like, sure, that's fine, but it looks good if you let it go faster, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
It's very colorful too. It's like, I think they went out of their way because they're calling it True Colors. It's like, okay, we're fitting this for the theme, and that's what we're really going for. But also, we're just going to make sure there's lots of pretty colors around in the environment. Lots of flowers, lots of, all sorts of things to make it look like. There's so many times I'm just like walking around between where I'm supposed to go. I'm just looking around at stuff like, ooh, this is pretty. Ooh, that's pretty. Ooh, that's pretty over there.
Yeah, it just seems
is there anything fun behind this building? Oh, that's a pretty trash can. Like, all right, moving on. Like, so yeah, that's pretty much what I've been playing. I'm looking forward to finishing that game.
Cool. All right, Eric, what have you been playing?
It's my turn. Not much. I did finish the Ascent Xbox Series S. Pretty good. Actually,
I need to go back to that because I got partway in and then got distracted by all the other games I've been playing.
I got most of the collectibles, so almost completed 100%. Yeah, it's a pretty good game. I don't know how to really describe it. Maybe twin stick shooter meets Deus Ex or some sort of like sci-fi game, because the story is kind of interesting.
I would call it just a twin stick shooter that they slapped some kind of RPG leveling up mechanics over the top of it, but at its heart, it's still pretty much just a twin stick shooter.
Yeah. You can hack into some stuff and like get the environment to help you. It's pretty entertaining and looks good, and pick up and play. It's about like 10 to 15 hours long. It has co-op too, which I never got around to.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember why I stopped playing.
Was it the co-op?
No, it was not the co-op. I didn't even try it because it was having so many problems when it launched with co-op. No, it was I got into like basically a dungeon and got to a point where there's just swarming me with enemies and I couldn't go back or forward and I kept getting killed and like, oh, okay, I'll try this at a later date, and then that later date has not yet come.
I think I know what you're talking about, and that was some random part of the game where I was going from one area to another. I'm like, what's in this door? And just like massive enemies swarmed me. But I was also had been playing for about 10 hours, so I was pretty high level.
Well, I mean, I played, decently amount of time and then like made the mistake of, oh, hey, this quest is higher than your level. Maybe you shouldn't do it yet. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. But I'm doing a main quest and I am above the level that it said suggested for it. And yet, sudden difficulty spike of, you're going to die like very quickly. There's like not even cover you can get behind in this area that much. So they're going to swarm you and you're dead.
Help me if that I ran into that a few times where I was like, oh, side quest, 3 levels up. How hard could it? Yeah, I got
It says very hard.
Yeah, I mean, getting swarmed with enemies or enemies that you can't take down with more than a few shots. And the boss fights are interesting too. Actually, that's where I died the most. The boss fights in the story. It can be kind of tough, but it is a good game. I do recommend it, and it's on Game Pass.
Yeah, and it looks very pretty too.
Only other thing I played is Psychonauts 2. I never played the first game. It's on Game Pass as well. I like the humor of Psychonaut. I like the stuff in the game. I don't like the jumping, platforming. I don't like that at all.
And what about it do you not like?
It's like the controls. I keep missing the ledges and stuff. I feel like it's either I'm not. I understand the jumping mechanics. I know how to float.
Yeah.
It's like just maybe there's not enough. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not used to it. Dying. I'm like, really?
You definitely have a jump, float thing, and there's a few spots that I had some issues with, like just the camera angle. I didn't quite get it right, and then I couldn't tell where it was. But yeah, once you get used to it, it's not too bad. But there's certainly some times where it's a little bit like it's not as precise as like a Mario game or something like that. So you can run into a few issues. I can definitely see that.
I played probably like 2 hours, and it to me it reminds me a lot of like playing Ratchet and Clank. So it's fun. I like it. I will definitely go play more. It's easy to play, cute, friendly. So I'm just playing to pass the time. How long you beat it, right, Nathaniel?
Yeah, like I've 100%ed. I probably spent a total of like 20 hours on it. If you're just going through, if you don't, and I was even doing pretty good with when I was playing through trying to get all the collectible stuff, and then mopped that up when I was done with the main story. But even if you just did kind of like the main story and did a little bit of side quest stuff, you could do it in closer to like 10 to 12 probably. Even
Perfect.
If you were just
I like me at 10 to 12. I like me at 10 to 15 hours.
Yeah. So if you're just kind of like trying to go through and like I'm gonna do the main mission so I can get all the different cool levels and see what it's all about, then yeah, you can do it in a lot less time than I did.
I meant to play more stuff this summer, but August has been pretty busy. We've been gone a lot, so I just haven't had time.
Yeah,
that's it. Just
wrapping up the travel season. So let's get into the news. Like I said, we had the PlayStation Showcase. One thing I wanted to touch on real quick was the whole Horizon Forbidden West upgrade PS5 thing. That just kind of made me laugh.
You mean when Sony got spanked for something that they said in the past that they were trying to like ignore, and everyone says like, "No, look, it's here. It's here. We have it in print. It's like right there. You guys said it."
It was really strange because like it was like the second or something like that. They came out with all the pre-orders for the different Forbidden West versions of the game, and there was no upgrade if you bought the PS4 version to the PS5 version. It wasn't available. It wasn't free. It wasn't anything, and it was kind of a lot of people went, well, that's strange. I can't get a PlayStation 5 yet, but I want to play this, and then when I get a PlayStation 5, I don't want to have to pay $70 again for it. And Sony went, well, that's what you got to do. And then somebody went, well, Jim Ryan said it would be free, and he said it in multiple places, multiple times, and then finally Sony came back out and goes, well, we'll let you do this one for free, but this will be the last one. From going on now, it'll be $10 upgrade. So
this is Sony trying to throw their heft of we're on top of the market and we think we can get away with anything and we're going to push it and see what we can do, and getting some pushback on it, like, all right, we'll like be okay this time. Like, come on.
And I think the main reason why they didn't want to do it was because they know Forbidden West is going to be a big seller, of course.
Yeah.
And two, that now that they're doing the free PlayStation 4 to PS5 upgrade, why would you spend $70 on the PS5 version when you can buy the PS4 version and upgrade it to the PS5?
I mean, maybe you want the PS5 box art. I don't know.
I mean,
that's worth that $10.
Yeah, is that worth that $10? So it's like, what are you doing? It was bad enough for me, it was bad enough with slapping a director's cut on Ghost of Tsushima and saying, well, if you have the PS4 version, well, you have to upgrade it for $30 more because it's not really an upgrade. It's the director's cut, and I was like, no, I would even be satisfied if they gave me a $10 option just to get the PlayStation 5 features of Ghost of Tsushima without buying the the director's cut version. I don't necessarily want to buy the director's cut version, but I would like to get those updated graphics, the rumble stuff, with the controller, those kind of things. And I don't think that's asking too much.
Honestly, that's what they screwed up on there, like specifically. They could have easily done like, here's a free update for everybody who owns the game that has all these features added to it. We also made a cool expansion that you can get in the director's cut. Then people wouldn't care quite as much because then you're messaging it as in, here's the new stuff you have to pay for, and it makes sense because like it's a whole new area and like people are used to that from other games or even to stuff like as like map packs for shooters or whatever. It's a thing that sort of exists, but like, oh, you're making me pay for some mechanical upgrades. It's just not cool, guys. Like,
but here's my big problem with all of it. Especially with Ghost of Tsushima. How many people did I see who bought that game day one on PlayStation 4, turned right around and spent $70 to get the PlayStation 5 version on a disc? I saw so many people that I follow on Twitter literally posting pictures all day long. I picked this up today. Then you're part of the problem.
Yep. That's why Sony knows they can get away with it, and they aren't. And because they're like top dog right now, they are trying to get away with it, and that's why you see Microsoft doing all these things because they're like, we want people to like us so that we can get more people to buy our stuff. And previous generations, that's flip flopped, and you've seen similar behavior that Microsoft has done in the past. And then PlayStation's like, oh, look at us, we're doing cool, we're not the bad guys, and they switch positions so much.
Well, and this will lead into my PlayStation Showcase talk. For some reason, with fans and journalists, Sony gets a free pass on things. And so Sony had their showcase. They announced a lot of new games. It was really a good show. I can't
half of a good show.
Yeah. Well, I can't complain too much.
We'll get into that
about what they showed, but
I can.
Okay.
And I will.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Because complaining is fun. No, not like
you might
not
change
that.
My mind. So
not that bad of complaining. Just nitpickiness.
So
really, nothing big.
Yeah. Marvel's Spider-Man 2 was announced, teased. I'm not surprised by any of this. We knew it was coming. 2023 is what they said. We'll see if they'll be able to hold true to that with things going on in the world right now. I mean, that's 2 years out.
I think that's a decent, like, hey, we're going to try and do this. And if something in the next, year and a half, 2 years, whatever, gets in the way, then fine. But like, you could put it out in December of 2023 and that would still technically count for that. And that's quite a bit of time for them to try and get it done. Right.
There was 2 games in the whole show for me that came out of left field. One was Insomniac is working on another Marvel game on top of it, Wolverine. I did not see that one coming at all. And this leads me to, and the other one was Sony flipping the bill for Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake.
What about there was the other one too? That's like Project Eve that I hadn't heard of before.
Yeah. But
hack and slash.
They're gonna rename that because if not, come on, like it's a Parasite Eve game. They say Parasite in it.
Well, yeah, I was like,
stuff. So come on, it's got to be in that universe somehow. But like, it looks like they're borrowing from so many stuff, different games, like Japanese games. So it looks like a bit of Nier in there. It looks like a bunch of different Platinum games. Looks like there's some Devil May Cry thrown in there. There's so much stuff that it feels like they're riffing on, but it doesn't matter because it looks really cool.
Yeah, it does. But to my point with the Marvel games, especially Wolverine and the Knights of the Old Republic game, how many media outlets and fans complained when Microsoft bought Bethesda and said all the Bethesda games are going to be PC and Xbox exclusive, and they all cried and whined and fussed that the fan base for Elder Scrolls and Fallout has always been cross-platform and it's not fair and how dare you gatekeep. And then Sony comes out and goes, console exclusive Knights of the Old Republic remake. Wolverine Marvel game. It's exclusive because it's Insomniac. And everybody goes, yes, this is great. It's wonderful for Sony to be able to do this. I'm like, but wait a minute. You just said that exclusive gatekeeping from studios is a terrible thing on games that could be cross-platform.
As for Knights of the Old Republic, it's pretty much all but confirmed that it's just a timed exclusive for PlayStation. It will be elsewhere.
Well, I know it's on PC, but nobody has officially said that it's going to come to Xbox.
Well, yeah, but it's like, because of the language, you could kind of like if it doesn't, sure, that's not going to be too, it wouldn't be like too crazy. But
no.
Because of the way it's worded, it's kind of comes off as Sony being like, no, really, look at the PlayStation. That's where you can get it. It'll never come anywhere else. Wink, wink. Like, it's been the same with other games in the past. And because Star Wars is such a big property, like, sure. But I don't know. It's also, I could see it just being on PlayStation as well because of the Marvel stuff they've done with Insomniac. But I don't know. I can see it either way.
Well, my understanding from what I've read about it is that Sony is putting up the big chunk of the money to get the remake made by what was the name of the company? I can't even remember now.
It's Aspire, I believe.
Aspire, yeah. So Sony's the one funding it. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that it won't come to other consoles. We saw that with Major League Baseball because they didn't have any control over where it was at. I mean, at this point, they gave up so they had to. So, I mean, there's that slight chance, but nobody's really saying that. They're all saying definitely PC, definitely PlayStation 5. Doesn't matter. I mean, if it doesn't come, I've got a PlayStation 5. If it doesn't come to Xbox, fine. I'll play it on PlayStation 5 or PC. I'm not that heartbroken about it. It's just this
some of this is just all the show hype that you get. Anytime there's a big showcase, you get all of the fanboys that only like the one platform saying this or that. But it's like a lot of people are just like, hey, that's cool, and aren't saying anything.
Well, and I see game journalists afterwards just applauding, Sony with, oh, they locked down Wolverine as an exclusive. That's great for this. Oh, they locked down Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. That's great. Then Microsoft does it with Bethesda games, buys the whole flipping company, and pitchforks and torches. This is terrible. It's like,
to be fair, that is slightly different than this. This is them making a deal with like Disney or something, and we've seen, there's been exclusive games on wherever in the past for Star Wars and even Marvel or whatever. You could only play it this one place. Whatever. It's not like they bought Disney and now Disney stuff is only going to be here. It is a bit different, but yeah, I don't know. I think also you just might be a little focused on some stuff too, because I guarantee you, I remember stuff with Xbox and things. There's people saying that too, hey, that's awesome. They locked this stuff down. That means they have all these properties. You can get both on either one. It's just on whatever kind of gets avenued your way based on social media and the sites you read, you'll see more of one or the other. Just
and fanboy stuff aside, that's always a fight. I always understand that. I mean, it's just media people who are quote unquote journalists. No,
I'm talking about the same thing.
Yeah,
media people.
It
just depends on who you're talking about.
It just aggravates me when I see stuff like that. It just does. It just aggravates me because you're supposed to.
Well, what I'm saying is you're looking in one place and you're not looking or seeing all the stuff in these other places where these other journalists are saying the exact things that you're wishing they would say, and vice versa in the past.
No, I do see that. I'm saying that. I'm not saying all journalists. I'm just saying some journalists are saying. I see both sides. I see journalists that aren't saying that, but then I see the ones that are. But my thing is, if you're a journalist, you're supposed to be like a sports commentator. You're not supposed to be taking sides. You're supposed to be
preferably
unbiased. When you're in a fashion representing the company that you work for and write stuff for, you're not supposed to be the one-sided thing. You're supposed to be impartial,
objective,
and you
depends
keep your personal
and
stuff
what you're thinking of as they can call themselves journalists, but they're not necessarily. And then there's the ones like, hey, I work for GameSpot or I work for IGN, where you would call them that. But if they're just someone on a YouTube channel, they're not really that. Enthusiasts. So even if they like to pretend, in your head, no, you're really not. You're just the same as any other kind of YouTube channel.
And I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about people at GameSpot, people at IGN, people at Game Informer. Any of those, Kotaku. Any of those places. Those are the ones that I'm talking about. But anyway, let's see, what else was there?
There's a lot of cool stuff in here. I think it was like half of an amazing show and half of it's fine show. So like it started kind of cool and it ended kind of cool, but the middle had a bunch of stuff of like, wait, you're showing Deathloop again? It comes out in like 2 seconds. Like, why are you doing that? This is like the 18th trailer for this game. We know what it is at this point. Why are you even in this showcase? To me, like at most you should put it in a montage saying, hey, it's coming tomorrow. Awesome. Or next week technically.
It was very hard for me to stay awake until about halfway through. I was fighting to stay awake. They showed the Forspoken trailer, and I went, okay, it's Borderlands with
they
magic
started
and dragons. Okay.
It's like they started with KOTOR, which was a cool trailer, and then they had like what was the second one? Because this IGN article is all
it's not in order. I couldn't find one.
Well, I live tweeted it, so it went Project Eve at first.
And Project Eve, that was cool.
It went Tiny Tina's Wonderland after that. And then there was Forspoken, and then there was Ghostwire Tokyo.
Once you got through Forspoken, that's kind of like the beginning of the show that I thought was really good. Like they had cool trailers. Like we knew Tiny Tina's thing existed before, but we knew Forspoken.
Chia looked really cool to me. I think Chia's the one that no one's talking about right now. I think that was one that people just kind of saw and went like, oh, whatever. But
anyway, the middle of it had all of the stuff we knew about, kind of like Ghostwire Tokyo. You've got Deathloop again. It's like, oh, okay, that's where like you can check out some if you've seen trailers for these games 2 or 3 times. We're just like, all right, is there a date? Yes, no, okay, cool. And then like you get more towards the end again, where you get like the Marvel stuff, and then you end with God of War Ragnarok, and it's like, okay, so you close it. But the middle part for me was just like, okay, this was fine. It was okay, I guess, but it wasn't anything that's gonna make me pay attention, especially when we've seen half of these like multiple times. Like Deathloop, we've seen 1 billion times. We are in a trailer loop for Deathloop. For how many times we've shown that game?
How many more Game Pass games can they show on an Xbox showcase? I mean, they showed like, 2 this time. So.
Hey, Deathloop, that's great. Do I have to play the game anymore? Because I've seen it so many times.
Yeah,
it's to the point where I'm excited about that game because I know the studio and I like how it looked, and then like that excitement has been tampered down from showing it so many times and like hammering it in my face. It's like, I know, stop it! You're trying too hard. Like, calm down, man.
Yeah, when they showed that Chisa game, it was like I was like, oh my gosh, I'm actually interested in this game. It's not dark,
it looked cool,
foreboding, and I'm not blowing up a bunch of stuff and killing a bunch of people like the first
20
minutes of the show.
Yeah. I had said that Chia kind of looked like Summer and Mara meets Super Mario Odyssey, sprinkled with a little bit of Concrete Genie, is what it looked
like. You gotta throw Breath of the Wild in there. There's a bit of Breath of the Wild easy. You can
I guess because
they're doing the gliding thing, but also just some of it looked like that more to me than like Mario Galaxy, as far as just like there's some exploration that we liked Breath of the Wild, so we're throwing a little bit of that DNA into it.
Yeah.
It could just be that's how the trailer came off to me, but that's what it looked like.
Either way, it looked awesome. It looked like if Summer and Mara had like a big, well, not a big budget, but a bigger budget is what it looked like. And I was like, okay, I'm in.
Of course, they showed a trailer for Gran Turismo 7 March 2022.
It's shiny. It's very, very pretty. I don't like simulation racers, so I'm not going to play it.
I like simulation racers, but the trouble is Forza has been better than Gran Turismo for so long.
Doesn't matter. Like, if you like sim racers, you could try it. Like, I guarantee if it comes out and they're all like 20 out of 10, you'd at least want to try it.
Not for $70.
If you like that style again, sure, that makes sense.
Try for $70.
I really don't feel like Gran Turismo's actually changed to game, even though it's been like years between each one.
It really hasn't.
It feels like Gran Turismo. You know what you're getting when you go into it. I enjoy Gran Turismo, but like you said, John, like Forza's kind of spoiled.
Yeah.
Any sort of like enthusiasm I really had for it.
Well, see, Forza's like cheating too, because they've got the 2 branches of that. So no matter what kind of racing game that you like to play, you've got something in Forza that you can enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
But Gran Turismo is still very much in its alleyway, and I think people who love that are probably going to like this a lot. It looks very shiny, like it makes total sense that they put this in the showcase, and it's like, it's pretty cars for a while. I like it.
Started laughing when the trailer started because they had this like Castlevania sounding music, and like I could have swore I was like, oh, okay, so From Software is doing Gran Turismo. That's cool.
I mean, that would be funny, but no, it's actually from a Gran Turismo game, according to a reaction video thingy I was watching, or like a live stream of like, I can't remember if it was like No, it wasn't. It was like Giant Bomb or somebody like that. One of the sites that's like streams it while they're watching it, and I was like just clicking through afterwards to see kind of like their reactions to stuff. And someone was like a big Gran Turismo fan on whichever video this was, and apparently it's from like Gran Turismo 4 or something.
Oh, okay.
From what I remember, it's an actual music track from a previous game.
Okay.
I mean, they could have been wrong. It's not like I'm saying this is a great source of information, but that's what I heard. So then it would make sense to put it, if that's true, into a trailer. I just feel
like if there's anything I got out of this showcase, it's that I feel like Insomniac's going to be the next studio that's investigated for crunch. Because my God.
Oh, good Lord. Yeah, they're so busy, man.
My God, they just released Ratchet and Clank. They just shipped that, right? And then you had like Miles Morales not long ago before that. And then now you're telling me Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine on the way. Like, guys.
Well, like what it is from what I understand, and it could be people with bad information again too, but like the Miles Morales team is the one doing Wolverine, so people are speculating it might be a smaller game or more linear game or whatever. Yeah. Plus, there's no date on that one yet. That's totally going to be after Spider-Man 2. And who knows how long after.
I would say like, earliest 2024. Probably more like 2025 before that thing comes out.
I mean, if they're insane, they could do 2023, right? And put both games out at the same year. But they're not going to do that, even just from Sony wanting to release it that way. So, yeah, I mean, 2024 at the earliest probably is
Insomniac technically has two separate groups, one in
they're a huge studio at this point as well. Yeah, I mean, they're not
big now, so it's not like they're
you can't think of them like from years ago when like they're a little bit of the smaller studio that does some really cool stuff and they're very focused on one thing at a time. No, they're a multi-team studio for sure at this point.
Hey, Grand Theft Auto 5 finally comes to PlayStation 5.
That's the other one in the middle that I forgot about. I was just like, well, no. You got crap for having Grand Theft Auto 5 like when you revealed the like whatever PS4 or PS5 or whatever the heck. Yeah. Like that is an old game. I get it that it's still popular. Like, oh, by the way, it still has GTA Online. Like, yes, everybody knows that because that game is like 15 decades old. It's been around for centuries. We know what GTA 5 is. Like, you don't have to tell us.
My favorite meme that goes around on the internet when news comes out of Gran Turismo 5 is literally a picture of Biden shaking Putin's hand, Trump shaking Putin's hand, Obama shaking Putin's hand, Bush shaking Putin's hand, and Bill Clinton shaking Putin's hand, and Putin is Gran Turismo 5, and the presidents are all the different systems that come out of this.
Here's my theory. I think there is a secret war between that studio and Bethesda to see how many times they can release a game between that and Skyrim. Like they keep trying to one-up each other.
I think you're right.
That we're going to be the first 6th generation game where we've been on so many consoles you just can't even remember where it started because it's so old.
Alan Wake, did we talk? We didn't talk about Alan Wake on the show, did we?
We mentioned it, but not on the show. I was talking about it a little bit before the show. Yeah.
October 5th, that'll be on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. They had the trailer on showcase.
It's so weird. It's like I can't remember. Someone else is publishing it now, but that was pretty much Microsoft Studios published that originally on the 360. So it's just a weird thing where like, hey, rights have shifted over time to where Remedy owns it, so they can put it on other platforms now.
And I'll buy it.
I mean, I love that game already, and I was thinking of replaying it again because like October is a fun time to play that game. So I was like, well, maybe if I have time, I'll buy it on PlayStation or PC or something if the remaster looks decent enough, or maybe I'll just reinstall it on Steam and play it there because that version is still pretty good.
Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy are getting remastered for PS5 and going to be.
I'm buying those on PC.
I would like to play those again on PC. Actually, I loved Lost Legacy.
That's why I want to play them on PC because I want to see how much the frame rate can get pushed on that platform or not. Because they're going to cap it at like 60 or whatever on PlayStation 5, which will be fine.
I don't see PS5 being that much different, but on PC, that's where it's going to get interesting for sure.
Yeah.
Plus, I don't know. It was the same with Horizon Zero Dawn. It was just like, this is amusing playing a Sony exclusive game with an Xbox controller and having it in the UI. That's cool. It's weird, but cool.
Well, that's what I've been loving playing, because I've been playing. I didn't mention it, but because I didn't spend much time with it, but just dabbling a little bit on Death Stranding on PC, and just like playing with an Xbox controller.
Oh,
and
it
just,
looks good on PC. Yeah.
Change. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Let's see. We talked about Forspoken. That comes out in spring.
I can't wait to play that game. I hope it's as fun as it looks, because just the traversal and the cool different powers that they were showing this time, with all kind of the weird gun looking thing.
Yeah.
It's all but it's all because it's all from whatever bracelet she's wearing that it does different stuff. The particles are insane with some of the fire and the ice stuff that she was doing later on in that trailer. Just how many particles are you guys throwing around at once? This is nuts. What is this, Ratchet and Clank? Stop it.
Yeah. And that's on everything.
Yeah, because that's Square Enix published game, isn't it?
Square Enix, yeah. Tiny Tina, yeah, that's the looks like Borderlands set in fantasy world.
I like that trailer, but it's mostly because I like Ashley Birch and they had a Baby Metal song in the trailer, so why not? It's fun. It just looks like dumb fun.
My Baby Metal in there.
I might play it. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. I kind of looked at it and went, man.
It might be one that I'll pick up on sale at some point, but I think I'll probably play it just because I don't know. It looks like fun. I like the humor of it. It seems like it already just from that trailer has better writing than anything they did for Borderlands 3. I didn't even play that game, but all the trailers for it was just turning me off. This one's okay, that's fun. I like the bit in the middle where she's saying, "You might ask me why there's guns in a fantasy game." It's "Shut up and get shooting," or whatever she said. It made me laugh. Or the end where it's "There's no end credits because this ain't no super duper hero movie."
Yeah, that was great.
It's just it's fun.
That trailer was amazing.
When we talked about Project Eve, we knew it. Wolverine, which we didn't see much of, just a trailer. Same thing with Knights of the Old Republic. We don't know. It sounds like that one's real early in development too. When I was doing digging to find out about.
Actually, did you watch the stuff after the showcase where they were doing the interviews and stuff? They talked to the head of that studio and he was talking about it a little bit.
Yeah, it seems like that one's way early in development.
Because they haven't said. They're kind of talking around. I would be very surprised if, from the way they talked about preserving this Star Wars story that everybody loves, if it's very, very different mechanically. They're not going to do the turn-based RPG stuff.
I don't see them doing that.
Because even BioWare didn't do that really after that game that much. They kind of with Dragon Age, they sort of did, but it's a different style and it's a lot more stuff to it. So I'm betting that'll be a lot more action heavy because that sells well for Star Wars. Yeah. So we'll see.
Of course, then we said Spider-Man 2 trailer. I wonder if it's going to be like a co-op Spider-Man game since it had.
No,
you don't think so? You don't think it's going to
all the language that they're writing about on blogs and stuff is single player stuff, and so
I wondered since it had Miles Morales and
I bet you'll tag team between the two because you had kind of the Spider-Man game, then you had Miles Morales, which had Peter Parker in it for a little bit at kind of the beginning, but you didn't actually get to play as both of them. I wonder if you'll get to do certain missions with one, certain with the other. Probably. Kind of if you think of the original Spider-Man game where you got to play as Mary Jane a couple times, a couple different characters for just one-off missions. Maybe they'll do the same a little more extent with Miles and Peter in this game. That would be cool. Because then you get to play with both of their power sets. They're different enough that they're fun to play. Other than they swing the same, but they have different abilities, which is cool. And I think that the villain lineup, we know two of the villains that'll be in this game based on the trailer, so that'll be cool.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that was supposed to be what's his face, the hunter.
Kraven the Hunter is what it's supposed to be, and then it's okay, and everybody likes Venom, so we'll tease him at the end too.
Yeah.
But if it's like the first Spider-Man game, they'll probably be more than that because they throwing all their just like Batman. Spider-Man is another character where they're let's throw the rogues gallery and throw a bunch of them at once. It's kind of do that a lot.
Yep. Yeah, I still haven't finished Spider-Man, so I keep trying, and then I just kind of get bored and stop and go.
Oh man, I love that game. I like Miles Morales too a lot. Other than a few nitpicks that I didn't like with the story, but playing that game is fun.
I played it a little bit more when I got to PlayStation 5 because I could play it in 60 frames and ray tracing and all that. And then I kind of got bored again. I mean, I'm this close to the end, but I just get a little bit
Are you
more.
Gonna pull, wait. Are you going to pull an Eric where you finally come back and you have like 10 minutes left?
It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me. I don't know. I play it and then I just kind of get a little bored and then I quit and then I come back and then I get a little bored and I quit and I come back and I get a little bored. So, and then of course the last thing was God of War Ragnarok. Again, not a big surprise. I figured it was going to be in here.
Having played that first God of War, the God of War that this is a PS4 sequel to, several times, like twice through fully, plus a little bits here and there, like the updates, the subtle updates to this that you can see in this trailer of like, hey, there's NPCs out in areas, there's like a couple other new characters, there's some old characters coming back. I can't wait. That looks so good. And like fidelity wise, it's a bit more of a jump than I even like expected them to be able to make from turning it around this, quickly in quotes after the first one.
I didn't think it looked like it was that big of a jump.
And that's why what happens there is you're judging it based on kind of like rose tinted glasses memory. Like that first one does look amazing because of course that studio knows how to push it a lot, but it's pushed quite a bit here with just the amount of detail in the environments and stuff that's around. That, especially if you watch it in 4K, like character-wise, there's even some more detail. But like the biggest jump you'll see is kind of just the way how much they can populate the environments and how dense it is.
Well,
and how much stuff is
I'm
there.
curious to see what it looks like on PS4 because it's a cross-gen. It's going to be on PS4 and PS5. Yeah. So, I'm curious to see the difference. Now, I haven't played God of War on PS4. I have it downloaded to my PS5 since they updated it with the 60 frames a second or whatever. So it's on my list to play. But just watching that trailer, going back and watching it in 4K, it was like it looks a little better res and a little more detail here and there. But I didn't think it was. I
can tell you. Here's some of the stuff that impressed me, like the environmental detail. There's a lot more there because a lot of the stuff in the first game is very just like abandoned, broken down stuff. So it looks like there's some more kind of like living areas where they'll meet other characters, maybe or maybe not, who knows. But also in the amount of enemies that they showed in this trailer that are all completely new from the first game, that is just like, wow, okay, that's cool. I think also we'll probably be able to see they'll have more unique bosses in this one, which you can't really tell from this trailer, but based on stuff that they talked about that they had to cut from the last God of War game and things, you can tell that's probably one of their goals. So I'm hoping for that one, but you can't really see it in this trailer. But just even enemy variety, there was a decent amount in the first game, but some of it was just like, okay, here's this enemy that's got a reskin and it's a little bit harder. Not bad by any means, because there's still quite a bit of variety in the first one, but this one there's a lot more kind of like medium-sized creatures in this one. At least it looks like that way based on some of the stuff that showed up. So I don't know, it looked really cool.
Plus you got fat Thor, so
like from how they described him, I want to see what he looks like because they're talking about he's going to be a little more heavy set.
Have you not seen the pictures of him? There's pictures of him floating around.
Okay, I'll have to do that.
Yeah,
I'm going to guess. I'm betting he looks a lot like Magni and Modi and stuff like that from the first game.
I don't know. To me, he looked like Fat Thor from MCU.
Could be.
He had a belly.
They said he's supposed to have like red hair or whatever. Yeah. So I don't know. I love the voice because you get the couple of lines from Thor in that trailer, which are really cool. And they've confirmed that Odin is in the game and who's voicing him. And they said, Toby. I forget the name.
Toby, the guy from West Wing that played Toby.
Oh, yeah. That's right. But they also said what the name of the character at the very end of the trailer, who she is and stuff like that. I think it's deceptive. It seems like they're spoiling a lot with this trailer. Like, oh, they're talking about Tyr. Holy crap. But I think that's probably going to be something very early on in the game.
I can't imagine.
I love the bit where he stands up because he looks like, oh, he's about Kratos' size. Oh, wait, no, he was sitting down. He's a big dude. That's a fun, like, kind of camera trick that they pull. Yeah. Just perspective shift.
Dennis, were you going to say something? I think we kind of pushed you out of the...
No, we don't want to hear from Dennis.
I was just kind of following up on the whole like Thor lore talk of just like, I mean, it's more historically accurate.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's not
so because he was never, this. He's not Chris Hemsworth. He wasn't. He's not that. It's
the Marvel stuff is kind of like their take on Norse mythology is like maybe 20% where we're taking some names of things and that's about it. Whereas this is going to be a little bit more like 50-60% of Norse mythology, but our God of War twist on it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it also made a lot of it makes a lot more sense in terms of strength too when you think about it. Because someone made a good point earlier, and this is something that you really cannot refute. Where it's just like if you look at bodybuilders, right? They're usually sculpted. That is their goal of their muscles is to sculpt and be, this insanely ripped, looking thing of how far can we push the body. Now, but if you look at people that are in the World's Strongest Man contest,
oh yeah,
those are usually more meaty, bigger dudes, and they look like Thor typically, like the God of War version of Thor, where they have that belly, right? Because all of their strength typically goes in their wrists. Their wrists, the reason why they're so thick, especially, and pretty much they have wrists the size of their arms, is because that's where a lot of the lifting power comes into, because it helps them avoid herniated organs and things like that. So that's that's true strength.
There you go, Nathaniel. I sent it in the Twitter chat if you want to pull it up while Dennis is talking.
Because I know, because they have that, like the little clip in the trailer is from the first game, because they have that tease. If you know to go back and see it, you can see that little bit. So that's what he looks like.
Yeah, like that's.
Oh, dude, that's
true.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I like that a lot.
Just like I feel like most people who know anything about anything actually really like this design a lot. However, you have the people who, of course, assume muscle immediately equals strength, like bodybuilding and stuff like that, because they're so used to superheroes.
The other thing that makes this even more hilarious is it really absolutely doesn't matter what he looks like. They could have made it like a little 5-year-old girl looking, and that's Thor, and she could still have the same amount of strength just based on the characters for the first game. He was just like like Baldur for the first game is just a skinny dude, but hey, he can knock Kratos around in the boss fight.
Yeah, exactly. No, and this doesn't bother me at all. I mean, I know.
Oh man, I love that.
Yeah, I love
awesome.
it. I love it too. I know it's I know the Marvel's take on Thor and stuff is not the what you would see.
Part of what excites me about this is just it's more of the same fun take on Norse mythology that they had in the last game, and it seems like we're gonna get more of it, like with some more characters, because we've seen pretty much all the characters that could be coming back for this game. We've seen them in this trailer, plus a couple more. So it's like, oh, mate, do we get to have more cool characters in this game? I hope so. Even if it's just a couple, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
But also, like, did everyone forget about Thor in Valhalla? Because he wasn't exactly super ripped either. Like he was pretty meaty. So like,
all right,
again, because they tried to be more accurate, it's just like, I think people will just assume, like always, strength equals just the hemorrhaging muscles.
They're doing this
not instead of just hemorrhaging. Just hemorrhaging.
I bleed everywhere, therefore I am strong.
You're hemorrhaging to carry around your own weight.
But even the dude, like, was it that mountain dude from Game of Thrones or whatever. From Game of Thrones, that's how I get super invested into a topic. That dude wasn't even like.
I think you should say those dudes. Because that character was played, I think, by at least 4, maybe 5 different people over the run of the show. But they were all the same kind of like body type you're getting at, though.
But even so, like that, those, like, I mean, he didn't have these washboard abs and things like that. He was very much aligned with how Thor looks in that render. So it's I don't know. It's weird.
Now, see, this one looks like he's a Thor who knows how to fight, and he gets way into that, but then in between he's getting way into drinking, and he's got that belly from it.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a story there,
which totally fits for Norse stories. It's like, yep, that's very much a Norse character. Like the Marvel version of it is not anything close to it, which it's all comic books and stuff that are trying to do a different thing, and they're just like borrowing a little bit of it just to have that little bit of spice. But this is definitely trying to go a lot more towards the actual kind of mythology that would be accurate is a weird word to say for it, but you know, more of that type of aesthetic.
Right. Yeah, what you would
than
think.
Anything, and it's awesome. I like it.
Yeah, I do too. I like it too. So yeah, pretty.
Gotta you gotta work on having as many furs as you can in that game to make them graphics look cool, man.
Yep.
Fur is hard to do in video games, so if you can do it everywhere.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean that was pretty much
You know, oh man. I just thought of something. Now that like Kratos has a beard, what if they had like a comedy like secret unlock after you beat the game? If you get all the collectibles or something, you know how games have big head mode. He needs to have big beard mode where it goes like to the ground or something. I'd want that. Can we put that in the next God of War, please?
Yeah, sure.
Or he becomes Bayonetta and he just has hair attacks with his beard.
Well, yeah, that would be more. I think that
puts
would
it around.
Or it's big enough that he can take it and like choke someone out with it and like go to sleep. Why can't we direct a God of War game? Oh wait, it would be terrible. That's why. Never mind.
Yeah. And apparently this one is the last one in the.
So the way they're hinting at it, they say like the Norse saga, and from little weird hints in the thing, I'm like, please go to Egypt, please go to Egypt, please go to Egypt, because that is a cool like pantheon of gods that they could play with, and I think that would be fun if like, oh hey, we can't be here because Ragnarok happened. Where else are we gonna go? Oh, I don't know. Let's go to Egypt because there's some cool stuff we could play with there. Yeah. I'd be very curious to see what their take on like that set of mythology would be.
Yeah. That would be cool, but yeah, I mean that pretty much was it for me for the show. I mean, yeah, they had Guardians of the Galaxy trailer, they did a Ghostwire.
This they would have like it would have been way better if they put this out at E3 along with everybody else, because then it would have been packaged in with a lot of the other stuff where you get kind of that little bit of overlap between shows.
Yeah.
And because it's all at E3, you're like, okay, you kind of forgive it a little bit just because, okay, there's some deal that's like, okay, you can show this much here. We want to get our game into this conference because we know more people will watch Sony's than our own or whatever it may be. So you kind of expect a little bit of that. And we got a little bit of that, this year for sure with all the others. But, because Sony is doing it so much later, it's like, okay, why are you showing us Deathloop again? It comes out like, in 5 seconds. Like you could have saved those 5 minutes and we wouldn't have, it feels more like a little bit more of wasting my time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not that, that's a thing. It's like, okay, we don't have to watch it, but I don't know. It's just, come on, Sony, stop trying to be, you're trying in all these different aspects of, oh man, we don't have to care. We're the big dog and we want to be on our own and we don't need you. And it's like, come on, stop being jerks about it. Just like,
I don't know.
Be part of the community, man.
Yeah. Well, it's weird too because, how long did they, pretty much all summer, was it just Xbox? Every headline dominated by Xbox. And then Sony has their show on, what was that, Friday? Thursday. And what's it been since then? Sony. That could, if they'd have done it during E3 when everybody else done, you probably wouldn't have heard.
Well, see, this feeds a little bit more into the like us versus them mentality of like, oh, we have to be on our own so we can get all the whole spotlight. But it's like, okay, how about let's just celebrate games, like do stuff at E3, do stuff at Gamescom, because like Gamescom wasn't that like long before this Sony conference, so they could have done stuff there. All the stuff they showed now probably was ready, or at least could have been ready, even if they were finishing something at the last minute for this one. Yeah. They could have shown stuff at Gamescom if they wanted, but it's kind of like they're. Even if this is absolutely not what they're doing, it comes off feeling like we're too elite for any of this stuff. We're better than you, so we're just going to do our own thing, and we're not going to participate in the group activities and do E3 conferences or these Gamescoms or any of that anymore. No, we're too good for that. I doubt that's what they're actually doing, because they're not the only company that's wanting to do their stuff at their own times. Like EA did it this summer to, whatever. But I don't know. It's more fun when everybody's all doing stuff all at once.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
And you like, especially with Sony, they don't have to worry that like, oh no, our headlines got buried. No, you're Sony. It doesn't matter. Like if you did all this stuff at the same time as everyone was doing other stuff at E3, still would have everybody talking about it the same amount.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just whatever. It's just because Sony's.
Yeah, in the end, it's still just like, okay, whatever. Marketing is weird. Do whatever you want to do, but as long as the games are good and eventually come out, that's the part I care about the most. Like, it's fun to get all hyped up, but like a trailer is a trailer, and you watch it and be like, oh, cool, that was a fun 2 or 3 minutes, and Then if you're super obsessed, maybe you'll go frame by frame for a while to see what you can find in it. But other than that, it's like, okay, when the finished product comes out, that's hours and hours of gameplay that you'll have in the actual game that you can actually play instead of just watching something. Yeah. So,
and Sony, stop sticking your foot in your mouth. That's the other thing. It's just like, don't.
Yeah. You might want to treat your customers a little better instead of trying to pull stuff over on us all the time. Yeah. Just say,
whatever. I'm used to it, but
yeah, I mean, it's not like it's anything new. It's just it's just frustrating. It's like, okay, we've had better than this, and we even have better than this right now with how Xbox is treating people, and you're doing different than that. It's like, hey, what if everybody treated their customers well and did things that were good for the customer instead of trying to nickel and dime us? Like, you'd still make plenty of money. You would be fine.
Yep. But nope, can't do that. So. All right. Well, that's all I have. If anybody doesn't have anything else, I'll call it a show. Yeah. So who knows what we'll be talking about the next in 2 weeks? It's hard to tell. It'll be near the
probably a bunch of games we've played. Weird.
Yeah, I know. Weird, right? I don't know. Probably not me. I've got travel. I was on vacation all this week, but I'm starting to travel again next week.
Okay, so all the games you wish you'd played. How about
pretty
that?
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, that seems to be about right. Well, like I always say at the end of every show, follow us on Twitter at GL_podcast. We'll always tweet out when we're going to go live, so at least you'll know when the next show's coming. If you want to come hang out with us, if not, you'll always get it on your podcatcher the next day. But we, unless something comes up, should be able to record in 2 weeks. It shouldn't be a problem.
Were you planning on getting Tales of Arise? John, did you ever end up getting one or
no?
No,
I can't find it anywhere. No, I even checked the Target stores that were near us. They don't carry it. It's not in their system to carry in store.
That's crazy.
One Best Buy within 300 miles had a copy of it, and two GameStops within 100 miles had it. But as far as it is around here, nobody's got it. Nobody's got it locally. I mean, I'll order it. If I have to order it online, even Amazon. I just checked on Amazon. Yeah, if you order it today on Amazon, you won't get it till October. It's like, what's going on? I don't understand.
I don't understand what's going on.
Seems like there's a weird supply issue or something, because you'd figure that game would have plenty of copies.
And it just came out Friday. It's like, wait a minute, y'all want me to buy a physical copy because, we don't want physical media to die. Well, then make it easy for me to get a hold of it, because if not, I'm going to have to buy digital.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I don't know. I'm either going to wait. I'll be down, like I said, I'll be down in North Carolina this week, so maybe I can luck into finding one somewhere down there while I'm out.
I'll look around for you too. I'll see if there's one around here. But yeah, I mean, I was planning on getting it on Steam anyways. But if I was, because I thought like maybe Xbox before that, but then I was planning on a physical copy. But clearly that's not an option. So Steam it is.
I don't know, it's weird. I mean, it's totally weird. I don't understand it. But
maybe all the Steam ninjas went out there and destroyed all the physical.
I don't know. It's
your only option is to come to us.
Yeah, PlayStation had it they had it over at Walmart on PlayStation 4, but it's like, I couldn't even find a PlayStation 5 version of it.
Well, I showed you the screenshot I took from earlier of like the PlayStation 4 version was available, but if you wanted the Xbox or PS5 versions, those were available for pre-order, even though they said the release date was yesterday, which was the 10th, because that's true. But for some reason, they were still labeled as pre-order in Walmart's system.
Yeah, it's weird. Well, one of the guys that I follow on Twitter, he was posting pictures, screenshots he was playing, and I was like, I was trying to find that game today, and I can't find it. He said he had it pre-ordered physically at Best Buy, went in the store Friday to pick it up, and they said they had no copies. So he canceled his pre-order and went somewhere else to try to find it. So he found one at a Target near him.
Wait, they had no, so they didn't even have the one that he pre-ordered?
Best Buy didn't get any copies of it in.
Oh my God.
So I don't know what.
Yeah, it sounds like there's some issues somewhere in supply chains.
Yeah, I mean, I could order it on GameStop's website. It could be here Tuesday if I ordered it on GameStop. And it's like, well, why don't you have it in stores? It doesn't make any sense. I mean,
because if we do it that way, we can just ship it direct from our warehouses. Duh.
Yes. I mean, I get, and I thought maybe it was just a small area thing. I know the GameStop here, usually if it's a game that nobody pre-orders, they'll only get maybe one copy in. So I thought, well, maybe that was it. But no, it's apparently not. It's everywhere. Because I'm like, I find it hard to believe that of the 7-8 GameStops it's within 50 miles of me, none of them have it. It's like, nah.
National crisis.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. If I find it
severe Tales game shortage, that's what we're in, that crisis.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's like
a crisis.
You're telling me Bandai didn't print enough copies? I find that hard to believe.
I know. I mean, Tales has been around for 17 years now or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. 17 or 20 or something. It's been around for a while.
Time. Yeah.
A long time, yeah.
We've seen a lot of success with it too. And like Bandai, they're not an indie company.
No.
So like,
it's not like it's a small batch release from limited run games or something. I mean, this is, I don't know. It was very strange, and I couldn't figure it out. And the more I looked for it, the madder I got. So it's just like, meh, I'll just wait, and probably by the time I'm able to get it, it'll probably be on sale. So it's like,
I think after once the podcast finishes up, what I'll do is I'll go to change.org. That way, if we get enough signatures, it'll go up to the White House. So hopefully that'll.
Yeah, because they've got nothing
that
else.
Always works.
They got that, and they've got nothing else, and nothing else going on that they really have to worry about right
this
now.
Is serious. This is for the well-being of people in the United States. People got to be happy too and entertained.
Well,
it's not just about paying taxes.
They were looking into the PlayStation shortage, the silicon shortage. So why not? I want to know what's up with the Tails shortage. Don't give me the silicon shortage. I want to know.
I mean, they're familiar with video games anyways. With the amount of times Sony's gotten hacked and the FBI's been involved because of it.
Sure.
Like
I don't know. It's so strange.
They're in the industry. They're there.
Yeah. It's just so strange. And then he said he got it at Target, so I was like, oh, well, let me look it up on the Target app real quick. Maybe the Target, 50 miles away has it. It's like, no, we're sorry. It's not even sold in this store. What? It's not sold in this store. What are you talking about?
Maybe he bought it from somebody that just happened to be at a Target, like it was behind Target.
That could be, yeah. I mean.
Hi, my name is Billy Target.
Yeah, I'm not gonna accuse anybody of anything, but it would make sense. So I don't know. It's very weird. Weird times we live in when it comes to finding stuff. I don't understand it. All right, guys. Well, thanks a lot for hanging out with us and listening. And like I said, we should be back in 2 weeks, so we'll catch you guys then. But all right, we'll see you later.
Take care.
See you later.